One of the reasons I decided to run was because, like Mr. Lawrence was saying, I don't think anybody ought to just get to take the position. Lifetime of service in both the military and to the public school system, it's kind of been ingrained to me even before that. I tell people I wasn't raised in Mason County. I was actually raised in Ashland, Kentucky. But I always tell people also, I grew up here. Because we were always here working. Dad was always coming back home to the farm. Sometimes Mom didn't like that so much because her family got ignored a little bit. But we spent a lot of time here in Mason County when I was growing up. And I tell everybody that most of the important things I learned in life, I learned here on the Mason County farm. My dad taught me an immense amount of things: electrical, plumbing, how to drive a tractor, how to back up a truck. All those things built into me led me to a lifetime of service. Again, I tell people all the time, I may not be the smartest guy in the room, but you'll have a hard time finding somebody who can outwork me. And a lot of times that, between what intelligence I do have and my work ethic, I'm a tough guy to beat in just about any type of endeavor. Grew up I started working at a young age. Like I said, Dad worked me on the farm, but also, I don't think I've held less than 2 jobs at a time since I was 15 years old, started cutting grass and lifeguarding at the swimming pool. And the second year I was lifeguarding at the swimming pool, they made me assistant manager. And that was probably my first real leadership role, unless you're going to count the Boy Scouts. That led me into a wealth of leadership experience that I bring to this position. My opponent has 0. Until he got appointed by the governor to his current position, he had never managed 2 people. And now we expect him to all of a sudden manage this county. That's not going to work, folks. If you look at our economy, people are hurting. Gas prices are higher than they've been in maybe ever. People are hurting, and we need real leadership to move this county forward and to keep this county operating. As a school principal and a superintendent, I've managed large budgets my entire career. Probably 20, 22 million is about the average once I became a superintendent. And as I worked at the Department of Education, so not only did I manage those budgets, but I consistently ask, what is working right, what still makes sense, and how can we better and more efficiently spend this money to help the people? That's what we have to do with our county budget right now. We need to question everything we are currently doing to say, is it still relevant? Does it still make sense? Is there a better use of the money? As superintendent, I was able to look at our budget, and never once did I ask for a tax increase as a superintendent, but I was still able to look at our budget. And currently in Mason County, if you have a 3 or 4 year old and you want to send them to preschool, they have to have a qualifying disability. There is all types of research out there that says if we get kids involved in public education earlier, they do better by the time they leave high school. I looked at our budget and said, I want to put every 3 and 4 year old in our county that wants to come. We weren't mandating it, but any 3 or 4 year old that wants to come to preschool, let's make an opportunity for them to come to preschool. I analyzed our current budget, found some money in there, and we made it happen. At the same time, we offered free lunch, free breakfast, free dinner to every kid in Gallatin County schools without raising taxes. The money was there. We just had to reallocate it and spend it in a wiser way. Ethical decision making has always been at the backbone of what I've done. I won't lie, I won't cheat, and I won't steal. Never have, and I never will. If you look at the way our county government is currently functioning, I went onto the website the other day to pull minutes from the last years of county meetings. They're not on there. They're on there today only because I raised a question about it. I said, why are our minutes not on there? Because I requested a copy of them. Because I was looking for something. They purchased a vehicle the other day for the county judge executive to drive around in. Every other vehicle they've purchased for the sheriff, road department, and the jail, they've had lengthy discussions at fiscal court meetings. Talk about, let's put it out for bid. Let's talk to the local dealers about giving us a deal, getting us the best deal we can get for county money. The county judge executive, the purchase of his vehicle, there was no discussion this fiscal year. Wasn't spoken about in an open meeting at all. And you can go and look at the minutes yourself. You'll see there was no mention of it. But he took $22,000 of county money, went over to Cheap Chevrolet in Flemingsburg. For some reason, he bypassed our local car dealerships and went over there and bought a vehicle for him to drive around in. That's not the way this government's supposed to work. That fiscal court, these fiscal court members should have voted on that. There should have been some discussion about it. I won't do that. Look at our dog pound, our animal shelter. Horribly mismanaged. They've had a dog killed in their custody and control. They've had dogs illegally sold. Everything they do down there almost is operated by volunteers. All the dog food, right, comes from volunteers and donations. The county, in my opinion, if we're going to say we're going to take animals into county care and custody and control, we need to provide for those animals in a caring and humane way. And so far that has not been done under this administration. It's been one problem after another down at the dog pound. We're going to fix that. We're going to take a look at how that piece of the government works. We're going to analyze the current shelter to see if it needs upgrades, repair, or replacement. And we're going to put money in the budget to feed the dogs that people bring us. Because it's the humane right thing to do. I had something else I was going to talk about.
What about the road department?
The road department. I had a young lady approach me today about a piece of road that has not been repaired in over a year, despite numerous calls. She said it's been so long since they put a culvert across it, so they cut the pavement and they put gravel in there, but that's been 2 years ago, and they haven't repaved it in 2 years. So we'll take a hard look at how we look at our roads. Most of our roads, we've got a lot of single lane, small rural roads in this community. It's getting to where farm equipment in this community has gotten so big that they can't travel down those roads to get from one farm to the next. Bridges are too small. We shouldn't be putting any more one-lane bridges. We've got to make them at least wide enough to get a decent-sized piece of farm equipment across there. And then the other piece about farming, my dad brought up to me the other day. He says, we're a farming community. Show me where an equipment dealer is in Mason County that sells farm equipment. And we don't have one. You got to go to Augusta or Fleming County to buy a piece of farm equipment. We ought to have an implement dealer here that our farmers can go to get parts and service. So those are all the things we'll work with the Economic Development Council to try to bring back to Mason County. The other thing, tourism. Tourism is a significant revenue source here in Mason County. As electric vehicles become more and more popular throughout the country, people can't come here with an electric vehicle as a tourist because there's no place to charge one. I think the closest charging station is either in Georgetown, Ohio, or you got to go to Moorhead, Kentucky to charge an electric vehicle, unless you just happen to know somebody that's got one in their house that'll let you use it. So a couple of electric vehicle charging stations through the downtown and up on top of the hill would be nice to help improve tourism. That's all I'm going to talk. They only gave me 5 minutes, and I've probably gone over that already. What questions do you all have for me?
I'm real curious about the electric vehicle thing. Should that be the county expense, or should?
Some of them are pay. You swipe to pay. It's not like free electricity to whoever pulls up there. So they swipe a credit card to pay for the electricity. So there might be some initial costs on the initial install, but we would recoup that through the fees that we would charge for the charging per kilowatt hour, however they do it. There's a lot of companies out there that install those and have a revenue stream. Like you could. I remember when I first moved here, there was a lawyer in town that told me he made more money off payphones than he did from his lawsuits. So he actually owned all the payphones in town and pulled revenue from those. So I think we could do the same thing with the electric vehicle chargers.
Before we have any more questions, we're going to go ahead and go through the other three candidate speeches first.
All right.
So,
Then I'm going to sit down.
Thank you.
I think we're at a real tipping point in Mason County right now. We stand a chance in 20 days to flip the entire Mason County fiscal court. that's never been done before. But we gotta get folks out to vote. Jason and I punched the voter numbers. We need about 3,000 votes to win. That about right? That's considered a 45% voter turnout. In a non-presidential election year, non-gubernatorial election year, that's probably that'd be a little high maybe, but we figure about 3,000 votes it's gonna take. So that's a lot of folks coming out to vote and pulling levers. So talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, tell them they gotta get out and vote on November 8th. And just one more thing about my competition. You guys seen the commercial on TV? We know it, that it's an insurance commercial. The guy says, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. My competition has not seen anything. He's not making big things happen. If you look at my background, I've done just about a job that applies to some part of being the county judge executive. Roads department, I've worked construction. That's why I came to Maysville, actually. I started working construction for my Uncle Rick. Sheriff's department. As part of my military, I've done 2 tours in Iraq doing military police work, to include time at Abu Ghraib prison. The time at Abu Ghraib prison, doing care, custody, and control of 5,000 detainees, puts me well suited to understand a little bit about what we're doing at the jail. The landfill. Again, that's basically the science background that I come from. How do we manage that landfill out there, the landfill space? How do we do the recycling? There's almost no part of this job that I don't have some level of experience at, to where I can talk intelligently with the other elected officials who I'll work with to help solve problems. Because you have to have that base understanding of the problem in order to help come up with a good solution. I think we do a great job as your fiscal court for the next 4 years, so we're asking for your vote and for you to get out and get your friends out to vote on November 8th. We ask for your vote.
This is Travis Huber, and I'm asking for your vote on November 8th so we can forge a stronger Mason County through experienced leadership.